So, thank you for being on the podcast here. Just before the cameras turned on, we were just saying that we have all these mutual friends, so we sort of know each other serendipitously, but we've never actually properly hung out and properly met. And then I saw that you were commenting on one of the videos. It was a friend of yours. I thought, well, that's someone I want to speak to because you've got a wild company doing wild things, and I want to learn about that guy's origin story. And so start as far back as you want, if as a little toddler, or like you used to say you lived in Europe. So over to you, man.
Yeah, well, number one, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. So the free water or free supermarket product, it's like a lifelong thing. When I grew up in LA, we had a lemon tree at the house. So I was that kid who's always selling lemonade. I was really spoiled. I had some good baseball and basketball cards. And it probably started a nickel, but I kept raising the price, and then we had no customers. And so no one would stop by and get the lemonade. So I decided, quick on the feet, like, what if I made a sign that said free lemonade? So a bunch of cars came, and I couldn't make the lemonade fast enough. I didn't know what to do, so I ran in the house, and I sold all those people all my baseball, basketball, and football cards. And got about $1,500 in a weekend. I was 9.5, and then I harassed my parents and bothered them and let me invest it in Microsoft when I was like 9.5 years old. And so that's kind of where I got my start at entrepreneurship. Now I'm 39 almost, so like 30-year stock market experience. And then I was 2015 on a trip around the world, and I was in Europe, and millions of refugees poured in. And this refugee I met in Rome, his story was so sad, and so I canceled my trip around the world. We started a nonprofit in Europe called Save the Refugees, and we were in Belgrade, Serbia. We did a little work in Greece and Bulgaria, and we helped more than 10,000 people. And 1 in 4 said they left their country because they didn't have water or food. I was like, whoa.
So how were you helping? How did that charity help people?
We would give people whatever they needed, food. A lot of it was food, clothing. Some of the people from Afghanistan, there could be like a couple feet of snow on the ground and they had sandals.
Yeah. So how are you raising capital for that? Like just through donations? And
Yeah, just through donations.
Individuals, corporates?
Anyone who would do it on Facebook. And so mainly Facebook. And so when a quarter of them were just like, I have this problem, I started investigating the global water crisis, global famine. And I feel like everything that the UN and all of our countries are saying to solve it is shit, because their numbers are 100 times more than the actual price.
Wow.
And so
is that because governments are inefficient as well?
That's one. That's definitely a big one. But number two, I don't think they want to solve it because water and food are publicly traded commodities in every Western stock market. You don't make something publicly traded unless you want the price to go to the moon.
When I was a kid, we got involved in Red Nose Day quite a lot, which is a charity that was raising money for different countries in need. And I remember the whole story was digging wells in Africa and creating water.
Amazing.
But and then we sort of stopped hearing about that and like whether the problem was solved. So by the sound of it, these problems still haven't been solved.
No, 780 million people don't have water, but it could be like a hot summer and that number could double. Roughly 10% of the world's population doesn't have water, sewage, electricity, food, anything modern. And so that's why we created free water. It's just a vehicle of donation. So it's free because the packaging is the ad space, but it's actually negatively priced, free plus charity. So now donating to charity, as simple as saving money and drinking free water, the average American buys 3 bottles of water per day. Our goal with free water, get 10% of Americans, 34 million people, drink 1 free water a day. We donate 1.25 billion. And then this works for every single grocery. So you get 10% of Americans to eat our first 100 free products. We donate 125 billion. And free food is going to cut global waste in some countries by 1/3 and some as much as 70%.
That's crazy. I wouldn't have thought that people were drinking an average of 3 bottles a day.
Well, in marketing, we call it manufacturing demand. So it's like a big marketing trick. Who would have thought that water would cost money in the first place? And so, in the 70s, Coke and Pepsi and Nestle spent a lot of money to make Americans feel like the tap water wasn't safe. But now, decades later, it's not, because maybe through lobbyists or whatever, they didn't fix the pipes. It's not England. You guys have way better water in Western Europe than we have here.
Yeah, so you and there's places like Flint in Michigan who are still...
There's more than a dozen places. Flint's just the big name. There's people in Flint that still don't. It's mainly salt, but you got Jackson, Mississippi. Their water looks like chocolate milk. All the time you've got new towns that pop up. Some of these towns in America are 100, 200 years old. Some of them still have wooden pipes at the source. Wood pipes, I was shocked. Like, how do you have wood pipes? And then, so then the
That's
system...
some like Roman stuff right there.
And then, so the system breaks.
Yeah.
And then a small town of like 15,000 doesn't have hundreds of millions to fix it, and then that's it. And now you're dependent on paying Nestle for bottled water.
Yeah.
If you spend $1 on a bottle of water, you spent 2,000 times the price Nestle pays for it. That's the equivalent of spending like $1 million or $2 million on an iPhone.
Yeah.
And Nestle gets it for freaking zero.
And they just put it in the bottle. That's crazy. And so water makes sense, right? Because there's probably a lot of people who put a value on volcanic, water that's been done. And yours is spring water, is it?
Yeah, we'll put this water up against any Fiji or Evian.
Fiji as well, and Evian.
Yeah, it's just as good, if
so
not
what's
better.
the source for this one?
We've got different manufacturers in the USA. I believe in a decade it will be against the law to ship water across national borders.
Really?
Because it's so destructive that, big water is the most destructive industry in the world. They want to hide that, our water, we're good for you. But there's islands of trash bigger than Texas around the world where they're full of plastic bottles. And
that's crazy. So you're getting this is it spring water? Is that the right way to describe it? So like at the moment, everyone else like Evian or Fiji is just trying to kind of promote the fact that theirs is purer or tastes better or something with minerals. That's the only way they can
does
compete.
It taste okay?
Oh, it tastes fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking you as the water expert, how that's perceived as a brand. So when you move into other brands that aren't water, other products that aren't water, is that going to force you into a certain quality of product, like meat?
So in America, we have the expensive supermarket called Whole Foods.
Yep.
Owned by Amazon. We're the Whole Foods of free and negatively priced things. Like most people hear free, like, 99 cents. No. Yeah. And we can make every product in Whole Foods free off their shelf.
That's a bold statement.
In the future, just going to watch some ads in your phone, and we're going to be able to compensate you to start $10 and then $20. And these are radically different models where you could just earn way more and compensate way more.
Mm.
And so, let's say 10 years from now, super conservative.
Yeah.
It'll be a third of that, but let's just push it out a decade. When you're getting paid $20 an hour for your time, it's not for everyone, but even when you're on the toilet, you could do it, $20 an hour. But if someone in the US or England or Australia did it for their job, that's $40,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And then anywhere that accepts any electronic payment, you could shop. Visa, PayPal, Bitcoin,
So
Apple Pay.
You said to me before we started rolling that you consider yourselves as a tech company.
We are a tech company.
So to the uneducated, how would you classify yourself? Because I think every company nowadays is either a tech company or a big data company. But tell us specifically why you're a tech company and not a consumer goods company.
Okay, well, number one, we distribute services, not products. A can of Coke is a product. They pay sales tax. We're a service, you don't. Number two, it's just a mechanical advantage.
Yeah.
Number two, anyone could put like a Nike sign on a can of beer and call it a free beer, but the theoretical limit on how much revenue we could drive off of a free beer, free water is infinity in the future. So what I predict is 1 every 1 billion waters, or maybe in 10 billion, distributed, we earn more than $1 million off of a free water that donates to charity. And you can't do that with any other company.
Because it would devalue their brand?
No, it makes it better. Why is porn and Google and Facebook free? Fortnite, all the most valuable industries are free. We're just even that much more efficient, so we're negatively priced. Mm-hmm. And so there's new ways to manufacture in the future and distribute that are not possible when things are sold for a price. So like, I assume you have a trash collector.
I do.
And the trash collector picks up the trash at your house, and the next house, and the next house, hundreds and thousands of consecutive homes. Why don't they pick up the trash at your house, drive 20 miles, my house 5 miles, this house 7 miles, that house? Wouldn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
That's how Amazon makes all their deliveries.
Yeah.
Because they can't force you to spend money, right? So they can't guarantee delivery to even 2 consecutive homes. So there's just new types of physical manufacturing infrastructures that are only possible if things are free, and then better than free. What I found is, because I've traveled the world, even before there was money, maybe you're like, hey, I've got 5 goats, I'll trade you for a pig or a cow or something. That's a value exchange. Then we get coins and money.
Yeah.
So the physical infrastructure is based around commerce, or based around the idea that there has to be an exchange for value or cash. No one ever thought, like, they say there's no free lunch, and our free lunch pays you to eat it. And so when you wrap your head around that, there's just new ways to do everything.
Yeah.
Manufacturing, distribution, software, everything.
So you kind of briefly mentioned that, you don't have the taxes in the same way.
Well, we're going to bring in more taxes for the government. It's
Okay.
just because you can't make $1,000 off a can of Pepsi, right? So like that's going to drive way more revenue to the government. It's period.
But you probably got, I don't want to get into like tax in particular, just I've got a leading question here, but I want to understand some of the nuts and bolts. Like, if you're donating money, there's write-offs in donating money.
No, it's not the same as, so you could maybe get a 50% off tax deduction if you donated to like the Red Cross.
Yeah.
But a business expense is up to 100.
Yeah.
So donating to charity doesn't help in the way you're thinking about it. But if I want to make an item negatively priced, let's say a chocolate bar, the company doesn't decide if something's negatively priced, it's the end user.
Yeah.
So in order to make this chocolate bar negatively priced, I got to hand you the bar for free.
Thank you.
And I either have to pay you to eat it or pay charity enough money where you're like, there's a value better than zero. That's the only way to go beyond that. If you don't pay enough, you don't get to use the mechanical advantages. So like Facebook and Google are technically negatively priced because it's zero, and they give just like a smidge of a percent, whatever that is, right? But if you ask someone if Facebook's free, they say, no, you're the product.
Yeah.
So they can't use all the mechanical advantages that they can by being negatively priced.
So with that in mind, do you think that's where Coca-Cola or another drinks company could attack you? Is to try and like affect the loopholes or affect the kind of like mechanics of the?
No, they can't, because number one, I open source the initial investment ideas. So if the CEO of Coke called us right now, we'd give them all of our secrets. We want them to copy. When every can of Coke donates a minimum of 10 cents, when every Coke product donates a minimum of 10 cents, just Coke products, it's the largest redistribution of wealth in human history times 10 every year forever.
Wow.
And so what I predict is you'll see in the next year or two, either Coke or Pepsi are going to walk us into the boardroom, and they're going to be like, let's make a deal, because we realize that it's checkmate in every direction. So like kind of ChatGPT and Microsoft, right? They said, okay, I'll help you. We've got the magic bullet, Microsoft, you could defeat Google. So Coke or Pepsi is going to be like, okay, let's make a deal. You're going to put your platform on all of our products worldwide. It's going to drive a lot more revenue for us. We'll help you with economies of scale because you haven't yet built out this new infrastructure, because once you do that, it's just end game. And then you just can't do business with our competitors for, like, let's say Hershey's, Coke, or Nestle for like a decade, and it would just wipe out their competitors. So the first one of those ones that partners with us just runs the board, because the difference between ChatGPT and Microsoft versus Google is Google's the smartest minds in the world. Tech, right? But Coke and Pepsi and Hershey's, that's not their play. We're that next smart company. We're that next Tesla. And by them partnering with us, they just run the board in that industry. There's just no competition.
So at the moment, I'm one of the ways first place I saw you, I think, was probably TikTok. Or I maybe seen you here, and I saw on TikTok, and I saw these funny videos of someone saying, no, hold on a second, it's free, and all that, and it's really funny, and it's really compelling. But it seemed like you were doing in the field handling of a product, and I imagine that's probably one of the most expensive ways to do it. So you've got some innovations in how you're going to be distributing this. So how do you do it today, and how's that changing over the short and mid-term?
Okay, so in the early days, number one, we had no advertisers. In the end of 2021, I was giving out samples. It was just my wife and I. The bottles were blue and said free water, And those original prototypes, we didn't make many. Now they're collector's items. Some people sold them on the web for more than $600 now. And we'd give them to people, and some people would go to the website and be like, can I put my logo there? So obviously it's like, wow, we're being bad.
How were you funding that then? You were funding it yourself?
Out of pocket, yeah.
But you knew you were going to do advertisement, but before you
but
did
no,
that,
we
they
knew,
called
but
you.
we didn't have it. But so I was like, we're not being good communicators. What am I doing wrong? So the next bottle said you're at here, and everything you could do with the platform. People still didn't get it. So then we went out of pocket on roughly the next 50,000 bottles. We just gave it away. So you could put your electric car there, clothing, any sort of influencer, because we didn't want people to see it as a bottle of water. It's the next magazine or iPhone. And then people started placing orders on like a fraction of it or half of it. We reached profitability like last Halloween. You know, it's really unheard of if you think of any tech company releasing a new technology. A lot of them, like Uber, didn't reach profitability till recently.
Yeah, if at all.
And so to release a radically new technology and be profitable second year, that's unheard of in tech.
Yeah, and that's a change we're having to start to see now, where companies are thinking a bit more about break-even profitability as the investment market changes significantly. So it's good that you've done it.
So if you first wanted to advertise with us 2 years ago, the minimum ad buy was like $3,600. 6 months ago, $2,500. In 100 days, it'll be less than $100.
To advertise with you.
Yeah, to start. And by the end of this year, it'll be $5. Next year, it'll be 5 cents.
To advertise with you guys.
And then the phenomenon is that the ad medium with one of the highest ROIs in England, Canada, and the US is the junk mail in your mailbox. 29% ROI, only social media influencer marketing offers that. Facebook's half of that, Google's way less than a third of that. And we're cheaper than the junk mail. Free food's cheaper than the junk mail. And so if you could choose between free food or the crap in the mailbox or a pop-up ad, I'm sure you're going to choose the free food that donates to charity.
Yeah, and I think, especially like tech companies like what I'm involved in, if you can put something tangible in someone's hand, that feels kind of cool, you know? So I like the sound of that.
So within 24 months, our ad medium will be cheaper and more accurate than Facebook and Google.
So I guess that's where the big data part comes into it, because you need to make sure that it's getting, some of these ads are not they're local, very geographic.
So this year we're launching free 24 packs. Up until this point, we were B2B only, which is still a big part of our business.
So what does that mean, B2B? Sorry.
We do a case study with the company and see what their needs are. And then we design it with them, and we put whatever tech they want, anything that connects to the internet, and we ship it to them, and they give it away.
They give it away. Okay.
Now we're launching free vending machines and free 24 packs.
So the 24 pack, let's do that one first, because there's a lot to talk about with the vending machine. So the 24 pack is literally a pack of 24 bottles of water.
So at first, the way it's going to work is like it's a junk mail. No one orders junk mail, right? So mailman's going to ring the doorbell, ding dong. You're going to see this box, and when you open the box, you're going to see 24 different bottles, 24 different ads, and that's the catch. And you're like, this is great. And
so you're going to fit 24 on one bottle?
It's a case. 24 pack of
water.
Oh,
right, sorry. And will it all? So you need to make sure.
We could do.
You need to make sure every ad's different.
1 to 8 ads per bottle, too.
So, but would you have to make sure that every single bottle has a different ad in a 24 pack? It has to be a nice
yeah.
Because otherwise,
and it's going to be just for you.
Yeah.
And so that's step one.
So that would be a person's house, or that would be an office? Back in the day, I used to do like field marketing stuff.
Yeah, it'll go to the house. And so step two, and just off that, but you're not ordering it, then I could theoretically send any grocery just to your house. But so step two is like any social network where you meet the XY axis, where you have a base number of advertisers, usually like Facebook or Google. You need the advertisers just to run the servers, right? Because the bigger the audience, it costs more servers. So this year we'll likely have enough ad agency agreements where anyone in America, all 50, whatever states, Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico too, you just go to the website, you order that 24 pack. It'll be a little slower at first, but a few weeks later, goes right to your doorstep. Free shipping too, and then the water for free. Once we got that, then you could order any grocery.
I want iced coffee and coffee. That would be sick.
I personally own all of those domains, freeicedcoffee.com, free anything you could think of, free Mexican food, cheese pizza, sushi, and every Western language.
That's hilarious. So, okay, so at the moment, it's kind of you send it to the business, and I have seen some of the
When we're about to launch it, yeah. So B2Bs first.
Yeah.
We still do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Then it will go to people's houses.
yeah, but you don't order it.
But you don't
Just
order
like
it.
junk mail.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we hit XY access, enough ad agencies, like you hit that point, and then you could order anything directly to your house.
So where are the vending machines going to go? That's the next bit. That's
So
in development. I've
right
seen
now,
some stuff
I've
on
got
TikTok.
the world's first free vending machine in my garage. It's a little bit buggy. That's getting solved immediately. And so the first one is handle security. So people always say, oh, if free vending machine or free supermarket, I'm going to steal all the chocolate bars. My
They
wife
just
loves
keep
chocolate.
pressing it.
Yeah, if it was just right. So as long as you don't physically harm the machine, which is cheating, we limit you to 1 to 3 bottles per person per day. That's version 1. And the bottle comes out with the ad. Version 2, imagine if there was 50 different bottles in there
Yeah.
with already ads on them. The more you use the mobile app, the more individualized the ad it serves you, because you want the one for men's shoes, not women's shoes. Version 3, which is I thought it was gonna be 10 years out. At this rate, maybe it's happening fast. We walk up to the free vending machine in Times Square, New York City. You scan it, and in real time, you get individualized artwork, individualized augmented reality on all packaging. And these current vending machines, because we're hacking ones that are meant to sell things, so they're slow. We're making them do things, bend over backwards in ways they're not supposed to. They could only do maybe 3 a minute. Our future ones will do 20 to 40 a minute.
Yeah. There's a really interesting idea there. So will I have to make that kind of real-time ads on the bottle? I guess I need to sort of scan something on my phone or something. So
You're just going to have to be you're going to be a mobile app user. So,
and is that then pulling data from my social channels
imagine,
to know what I'm into?
Imagine TikTok without the ads, or imagine Instagram without the ads. And you have all your favorite videos and creators, Mr. Beast or whatever you want, right? Just off of the videos you like watching, we know who you are.
So you're going to launch a social media network. You're not going to pull from sources.
The free grocery platform is the future of social media. And let's put it this way. What's an iPhone? It's hardware you can't live without.
Yeah.
What's ChatGPT? Software you can't live without. Whenever you create something that people can't live without, you build an app store. App store sounds crazy, but that's just a website within a website. And then Uber's an app that's a website within a website within a website. Most people can't see it that way. And so what's free groceries that pays you to eat? It's stuff you can't live without. What's free transportation, clothing, vacations? I think you can't, and free iPhones, we're going to distribute those for free too. So why would we not create this new type of app store, but it just operates on completely different premise? Because, okay, if you could visualize a number line, here's 0 from my direction, here's things with a price. And then over here, there's negative things. In today's business, everything is Coca-Cola, traditional capitalism, the sharing economy, the Uber of things, freemium, Facebook, Google, Fortnite, and then there's this zone over here, which I invented. And so all software and hardware, manufacturing, everything is different in that zone. And so it would be like if you're running a race, and you just had to run a quarter of a mile, but whoever you were racing had to run 20,000, you could crawl and win. And so if you look at the supply chain at a lot of the groceries and products you buy, and you take down the packaging, the ink, everything, and you currently track it in this very inefficient model, some of the products I buy at H-E-B, the local supermarket, travel 10 to 20,000 miles to get there. And a lot of these entire supply chains are going to exist in 5 miles. So like, it's just, for example, today we use aluminum, infinitely recyclable. 10 years out, we're going to have the world's first 100% hemp packaging. So like the water boxes already do, but all hemp. You're going to be able to grow the hemp at location A, manufacture it into the packaging at location A, print on it at location A, fill it at location A, and distribute it locally within location A in a few kilometers or miles. And then we're going to pick it up, recycle it, but see the whole round trip supply chain, a few miles, but then a lot of even a plastic bottle, this regular plastic bottle, oil from Saudi Arabia, drilled, goes in a tanker to China, turns into plastic pellets, ships it across the world. Coke will turn it into a plastic bottle, put water in it. Then it's going to sit in a warehouse maybe for a year before the SKU gets bare. Then the the shelf is bare, then it goes there, then you drink it. Even if you throw it in the recycle bin, only 9% is recycled, because at the bottom of every plastic container is a number. And what the world doesn't think about is like only number 2 could go with number 2, 5 with number 5. There's no law stating that everyone has to use the same number. So every year the world's biggest companies invent new plastics to save money, and none of it is compatible with one another. But they do the plastic bottle because it's the cheapest mechanism. But even with trillion-dollar companies, when we're a small company, we're going to be able to make the natural packaging for a fraction of the price that a trillion-dollar company can, because it's 20,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 5,000 miles versus 5 round trip, including recycle and fulfillment.
Right. Okay, I've got another set of questions that are all kind of
It's a weird conversation.
No, it is. And I want to try and ask them in a good order so we can unpack it even more, pun intended, unpack. And so first question is there any products that you, either as a founder, as a company, never want to do or never can do?
So there is a theoretical limit at scale. So Mark Zuckerberg said one day if they launch the Facebook Libra, you might get paid $6 an hour to watch ads. That's actually pretty revolutionary, because the best in the business at doing that is like the Brave token. It's a blockchain thing, and depending on the price, you might get 50 cents, $1 or $2. But because these radically different models, we're going to pay you 20 and then more. And so let's just say we skip to the 20, and someone does that full time, 40 hours a week. You're bringing $40,000 a year now. There's a lot of things you could buy. You could finance a brand new Tesla Cybertruck. You could, in some states, get a mortgage.
Because you said eventually you might give iPhones away.
No, we 100% are.
Yeah, so when does the serpent start eating its own tail? And you can't, like, show an ad for an iPhone because you're going to get the iPhone for free anyway.
So people always ask, if everything's free or negatively priced, who's going to advertise?
Yeah.
But you have to understand that free and negatively priced is more profitable. Every day, Fortnite, which is free, spends how much on advertising? How much does the porn industry spend every day on advertising?
But Fortnite's free surely because of the microtransactions inside the game.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. But what about Facebook? How much do they spend every day on advertising? That's an advertising platform, right? So the free products spend more on advertising too.
Again, this could be my monkey brain slowing down
problem
here, so
Yeah,
bear with me. But like with Facebook example, they don't pay anything for advertisement, or maybe they do. They probably do. I've seen
the
Facebook
advertisers
ads.
pay Facebook, right?
Yeah, but advertisers pay Facebook. I'm sure I've seen Facebook ads for things, but that's not the crux thing I'm getting stuck on. But the service they offer is messaging, sharing and content. So they're not eating their own dog food in a way.
Again, they built. We absorb Facebook in the digital format through your smart device or computer, right? But you have to think how many skyscrapers and buildings they have worldwide. And they have computers. Like, people think when you hear cloud computing that's in the cloud, those are just physical.
Yeah.
It's the Uber of sharing space, right? But all of the physical infrastructure they built is wrong. Not wrong, just for a world where things have a price. So it's just less efficient. So they're just eating up that fuel. It's like a car that gets 7 miles per gallon versus 70. Which one's going to run longer if they have the same number of liters in the tank? So it's just a different model. But just again, if porn could be free,
but
why can't your pizza?
So let me try and put that back in. So because the thing is, with Facebook, I don't pay for Facebook, but for that I get to.
You pay. You pay with your data.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm paying on my data, but I'm getting tools and services to communicate with people better, more efficiently, in a more fun way. But I pay for my iPhone.
So let's just, number one, I hate ads. Okay. And there's
that's controversial. The guy that sells ads hates ads.
But we're transforming the industry into a better version of itself, number one.
Okay.
But number two, there's a theoretical limit of the revenue we could drive through ads. It's more profitable removing the ads in the future. I started
I'm
with
trying to get the hang of the
So-
first
so
part,
look, yeah,
and then
yeah,
you're
so, yeah.
adding in me.
No,
this is-
so we won't dive into that this show. We could do another show if you
No,
want.
yeah.
But before there was free water, I was doing negatively priced transportation and electricity.
Okay.
And the electricity model has no ads, and I've created dozens of ways to do it. My late mother, before she passed, she got me to switch to water and food for now, because she was like, look, Josh, we're not famous or rich. We're middle class at best. At best. No one's going to give you a utility company, coal, nuclear, renewable, to show that you could make more money paying people to use the free electricity. But she was like, a poor middle class family could make a micro beer brewery, or a bread company, or a t-shirt company, or a chocolate bar, whatever. She's like, pick the easiest one. And then when you prove that that could be negatively priced and profitable, maybe people will listen to you about the airplanes and the laptops and the...
So my initial question was,
So
is there
this
any
is-
products you wouldn't do? Or either because it won't work, or because you as a personal, maybe...
So here's the phenomenon. I don't want to take away people's freedom of choice. So if you get a Visa credit card, for example, does Visa tell you where you can't swipe it?
Well, they've started doing some restrictions, I think.
I don't think there's any restrictions. You just can't break the law, right?
Yeah, but that's...
So yeah, so
That's the
like as
line.
long as they're not breaking the law, I don't want to tell you where to spend your money. So, like there's products out there like soda. It's pretty unhealthy, especially the most unhealthy ones, right?
Yeah,
It's leading to diabetes and all these other issues.
yeah.
How much money are they paying to charity? And to solve other greater issues? No. So like you could take a product that's not very healthy, but then you could deter billions of dollars into helping. Same thing, when 10% of Americans have one free water a day, we donate 1.25 billion. When 10% of Americans have one apple a day, let's say if that helps kids with cancer, that's 1.25 billion. Right now, that apple's not doing that. And so
you're saying there's no product for you that's off limits?
it's just we have to decide, because we have the most strict advertising guidelines of any ad platform so far.
Yeah.
Okay, like Facebook, Google, they're going to take your money, right? They don't care. They care on some stuff, but we're like, rails the bar so high. But let's say
Has someone done something, then you're like, dude, that's too spicy for us.
Not yet, because, but let's just say this. What if someone was going to break the ad policy, but they wanted to order 100 million bottles or cans? Right off the top, that donates $10 million to charity. That would save between 250,000 and 1 million lives. Even though it broke the policy,
But that's you
I would-
deciding that, right?
we would have to come as a company. We might even have to ask the world, what would you do?
Yeah.
Because I would, like, imagine the person who's literally dying of thirst. And they're just thinking, like, I'm going to pass away because someone broke the ad policy? And so, like, these are, like, moral conundrums.
Are you running it? But you don't find yourself running into those right now. Obviously,
We
you
have
just
no
do-
no one's asked anything. We've had some political parties reach out.
Okay.
Obviously, because every politician wants
Yeah.
their big ugly face on the can, and so we won't accept 50% of the U.S. market, and that's a lot of money. Google and them take it all. So 50 to 51% of the market is slander and lies, pure lies. We don't want that. Now 50% is vote for me. Hey, vote for me. I believe in X, Y, and Z. We're like, we want that. And 50% says agree yet disagree. I believe with Larry on A, but I disagree with Larry and Melissa on B.
Right.
As long as it's not pure lies, we want that too. So we're already taking away half of the industry and just leaving it for Facebook and Google. You know,
So that's you don't want them making political statements. You'll say vote for me, and you allow that. But if they're going to make policy statements, you're saying you wouldn't want that on the ball.
the danger of the current social media platforms are the algorithms. And so, for example, when you take any sort of money, there's a lot of people that believe the earth is flat. Have you heard of flat earth theory?
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of people that believe it. During the pandemic, people realized that if they believe that, you could spend a penny or two and get them to be an anti-vaxxer. And then QAnon people, have you heard of QAnon?
Yep.
So QAnon people realized that if you just pay a couple other pennies, you could convert any of those. And then next thing you know, people were attacking our government building. I personally believe that's purely algorithmic. There's been ethnic cleansing, I guess, in Myanmar through Facebook, and Facebook didn't even, like a slap on the wrist. They didn't have enough translators to know what's going on. Right now, Myanmar is on like a civil war. Like, it could get tracked back to algorithms, and I think that there's a responsibility when you're in tech, because the tech is so powerful, especially like ChatGPT 4. If I'm using 4 because I pay the $20 a month. That means that OpenAI has like version 8. They're just not giving it to us yet. And they're just gobbling up all the patents and all of the wealth, right? But like, I just think what happens if it's already like Albert Einstein, and then the next one's 10 Albert Einsteins, and then 100, and then 1,000, and then 10 million, maybe in 10 years it could be 1 billion Albert Einsteins. There's a lot of responsibility in tech, and I don't think that they're being, a lot of companies not responsible enough.
I agree, in part, of course. Okay, let me try and pick an example then that's like, hopefully not too controversial.
No.
Like, we live in Texas. Where did you grow up?
In Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. So different to Texas. In Texas, it's legal to own a gun, and it's constitutional. Now, if a gun company wanted to advertise on the bottles, that can be a controversial subject to somebody. So
we're not going to take that dollar.
Yeah.
But it's always about the distribution.
But that's
so let's just say.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry. But that's a decision you're making as a founder.
Yeah, but Google, and then they say they don't take it, but ChatGPT is saying they are, and so like.
But it's legal. It's legal. So it's that's just a personal preference for you.
So it's also how it's being distributed. So like, we've had some people that are like, hey, I've got a semi-racy ad.
Okay.
It's still, it passes our guidelines, but it's kind of like, it's walking the line, but it's on the right side of the line. But they're saying they're distributing it between a private event of like-minded people. Then it's different than them saying, I'm going to distribute that racy ad to an elementary school. And they were even willing in the operating agreement to be legally held accountable if the ad got in the wrong person's hand. So like, you see what I mean? So like, if they're willing to go beyond, it said that they would be responsible up to $1 million in damages.
So they'd have, as long as they have, excuse me, they're controlling their own distribution channel.
Then I think
there's
it's
more
different.
discussion
so
to
like,
be had.
That
would make it into the Times Square vending machine.
Yeah. So you're from England?
Yeah.
So people in England get scared if they see a cop with a gun, because even a lot of the cops don't have guns, right?
Yeah.
But
people have a phobia of it in the UK.
Yeah, I loved living in Europe because I could walk down any street. I was living in Eastern Europe, not as safe as England. No issues, ever. In America, we have all these issues, so it's more dangerous if you ask me. But like, let's just say if the NRA wanted to put something on here, but they're doing it at their closed event. What would you do if because it's going to save a bunch of lives through the donations, and they're promising they're going to keep it in their closed event. Yeah. Could you go fly to rural India or Pakistan or wherever and tell that person, hey, you're not going to get your water well because we turned it down? I would feel horrible. So we got to kind of balance it. But let's say if they wanted to distribute, like through Walmart, like buy this crazy shotgun 50% off. No, we couldn't take that. We couldn't take that, even if it was going to donate, because we just have these problems. Like, I don't know. What do you think? It's
a
like
conundrum. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
So we're always everything's always being balanced.
I haven't thought about it enough because it's not my business. So that's why I'm just talking.
We wanted to be
now.
neutral, like Switzerland at first, but we realized. We've already kind of evolved the policy from neutral, like Switzerland. Yeah. Because Google's everybody's search engine. Doesn't matter super far left, super far right. We want to be everybody's free groceries that donate to charity. Yeah. But it's
flipping it then, is there like a product you think is just going to be too unhealthy? It's going to be hard to
A better way to flip it is like some billionaires, like Warren Buffett, eat McDonald's every day, even though he's rich enough to eat anything. So that's his choice.
I've seen that,
But a lot of Americans only have the option of eating the 99-cent menu at fast food places. Now later,
his wife gives him the money. Have you seen it? It's really sweet.
Yeah. But like when a bunch of Americans and people from around the world who only can afford like the most unhealthy $1 thing, when they get access to like organic, high quality food, it's up to them to still to choose what they want. Like, some of them might say, you know what, I don't care that I could get the organic chicken salad and the Whole Foods. I might still, like Warren Buffett still chooses the $3 breakfast.
Yeah.
I don't get that because
You don't get it. I'm interested. Like, I guess in the
do you ever buy things that you don't want because it's in line with your budget? Like you really want to buy this, but you go with that because...
Yeah. Mine was probably like pasta, like dry pasta. Because sometimes it's like really fancy, but like, come on, is it really worth that increased price when these little HEB ones are going to be the same? So yeah, like I think we all make little compromises, don't we? And I think probably...
So this is the phenomenon. Everything on the number line, I always go back to the number line.
Yeah.
Free, things with a price. And things with a price world, all decisions are a reflection of, for most people, other than the ultra wealthy, what we want versus what we can afford.
Yeah.
And what we can afford wins a lot of the time. So like my favorite fruit is mangoes, but I always buy bananas even though I hate them. And big data says Josh Clifford loves bananas, but I will never eat a banana
They're more
ever
portable,
again.
Aren't they? Is that why?
Well, they're cheaper.
They're cheaper and portable.
But I'll never eat a banana ever again when I have free mangoes. Now, even though I don't like bananas, what if I had the choice between the best, most ripe, sweet, organic mango in the world or the yucky, old, mushy banana that was free but donated 10 or 20 or 30 cents to save the pandas? I might forego my favorite thing for the one for charity. So it's going to completely change manufacturing and predict it, because the world needs to know how many bananas are supposed to be made every year, and they don't. They need to know how many pairs of socks are supposed to be made, how many slices of pizza. Nobody knows, and it's one of the many things that ties into like super global waste.
Are you going to have a way to differentiate? Because some people, like my wife and me, we try and buy organic as much as we can, but like you say, it's cost inhibitive or it's not accessible. So do you think you'll start to delineate products into organic and not just for personal preference potentially, right? Sodas, like you're seeing a lot more healthy sodas coming up.
The healthier and higher quality the product, the more the ad medium is going to be worth.
Yeah.
So you don't want to cheap out on the ad medium, it cheapens the ad.
Right, okay.
And so like it's just, you see what I mean? Like
yeah, so
like,
do you think you'll delineate like that someone's got...
We could have done plastic bottles. It's against what we want to do in the US, but this looks better.
It does look cool though, doesn't it? But if you had like a water, right? Water A, which is what you've got today, great, tastes great, it hydrates you. But then there's another option, which is the free water, say, vending machine. We've got another one that's still water, but it's got some added vitamins and stuff in it. But that one costs a lot more to make.
I'm just trying to give an
example of something else that's
at
like
scale,
similar.
At scale, making a beer is almost the same price as a water. It's like mainly water, right? So like soda, what's the majority? Like everything's mainly water.
Because you get those like fancy sodas that got probiotics in. It just costs more to make.
So okay.
So you've got two in the vending machine.
Yeah.
How is that going to work? The ads on that were more expensive to buy.
The ads, if the ads can pay for pornography, it can pay for it to have gold flakes in it. And that's going to be up to you to decide. You see what it's like?
Yeah. So no. This is an interesting point, right? Because what it gives brands the option to do is to show that they're a premium brand, right?
So do you like advertisements? Yes or no?
Sometimes actually.
What examples do you like ads?
I like it because I like things like Pinterest.
I love this back and forth. You ask great questions.
Thank you. No, actually, I don't mind. I hate. Do you know what I get? Sometimes I get these Mexican ads on my TV and stuff. I'm like,
it's not in your language.
It's not in my language, meaning like I kind of laugh at it. I'm like, oh, they clearly don't know who I am because I don't understand this. But why I like ads. So to answer your question, sometimes I feel like I try.
What's your least favorite time and type of ad to be exposed to?
My favorite is like when it's like something I'm interested in. I just like to learn a bit more about it, or a fashion, or a shirt, or something I might like to buy.
But you don't care regardless of how it was delivered, TV commercial, radio commercial,
my least favorite delivery is video.
Okay.
I prefer pictorial because I like to look at it and I like the option to delve into it deeper if I want to it. I actually genuinely like really well targeted ads. And as much data as they say it's out there, I think most ads are very, very, very badly targeted, personally.
So if you ask me, regardless of the delivery of it, because there's many different ways to deliver an ad, right?
Yeah.
Radio, TV, like this, there's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of the medium, an ad, the quality of an ad is based on a few factors. Number one, if what they're trying to sell is good in the first place. Because like in America, it's like in every city, if your business survives the first year, not even like makes money, like lose money, but don't go, it's like, it's 1 in 1,000 or something. If you
Yeah.
survive the first few years, again, still losing money, you're like 1 in 10,000. It depends on the city, right?
Yeah.
So not all ideas are great, or you know, there's like a Darwinism effect. There's a reason why businesses might go under one day. Maybe the T-shirt, they didn't like it as much as the other shirt, whatever, right? So are they selling something that people want? Or if it's free, are they trying to distribute something that people want? The second thing is call to action. Like if there's no special offer, I always tell every
So
potential
you coach
advertiser,
these people to help them do that?
small businesses are coachable, Fortune 500s are not.
No.
So like I always try to tell them if the call to action, the offer doesn't hurt the CEO's heart because it's such a good deal, no one cares, right? And so in the early days, a Fortune 500 would ask for a quote, and it would be like their chief marketing officer, and in the most polite way possible, I would suggest something else. And we would never get those deals. And you could see their face, they were upset because they're making maybe $1 million a year. And they're just like, who the heck is this small startup saying that I don't know how to do my job? So with the Fortune 500s now, I don't make many suggestions unless it's like really Captain Obvious and no one's feelings get hurt. Like if they have a phone number there, which is, if it's very tiny and no one could read it, I'd be like, I suggest to improve the font size.
It's good to be consultative, I think. That's always a
But
nice
if it's a small business, they act differently because there's no waste available in a small business if you're just trying to make it.
Yeah.
And they ask for every drop of help and advice. And so an example of a Fortune 500 company, they'll be like, I have an idea. We want to have advertisements on a jet ski or on a giraffe or whatever, and then someone's going to be riding the giraffe, and then they're going to hand you a bottle of free water, and then what do you think about that? And then I would just be like, well, it's going to be cool. It sounds cool, but how many bottles could someone riding an elephant carry? How are you going to refill? How many waters do you expect them to give out? But obviously they're not saying giraffes, but like I hear that stuff a lot. And
Yeah.
I
used to work in field marketing, actually.
Okay,
We
so
did
a
a lot
small
of, I used to
business-
work for Coke, actually. And the product that I went on to build, we actually worked with Coke for a number of years in distribution, giving free samples.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
I mean,
they have to give out free samples in order to survive. Like Red Bull, I was told, gives out like tens of
we always
millions
used to
of
meet with
free
the Red
ones.
Bull girls
But we
and
make
swap.
our business is giving them away for free. So what other companies do just
They don't do
to-
it forever, do they? They
Yeah,
have to
but we
stop
do
at
it
some point.
forever. But we pay you to take the soda in the
Yeah.
future.
Okay. Look, we're coming up on time, and I've got one more question, I think.
Okay.
I've got 1 million, actually, but because of time. I saw you on one of these bottles advertising to meet with Joe Rogan. I believe that was you advertising your own. Did it ever happen? What did that ever come to?
So, okay, you weren't supposed to get one of those yet. That was just an example. We didn't distribute those yet, but
I
it's
got
already
hold of
on
one.
the show. So, we obviously want to get on the show. He's around. I don't know if it's true, but someone recently told me that the reason why we're not on the show is he thinks that this isn't possible.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, this is time to address
We've
it.
filmed some other big shows before. Can't mention any names.
Okay.
But episode didn't air in because I was told later producers just like our legal's just scared that this will all be a hoax one day. So we might save it till later, till after you're already like super, super world famous sort of thing. But the bottle with Joe, it just says, introduce us to Joe. Not like get on the show, just
Yeah.
introduce us to Joe. It could be a 5-minute conversation, and you're going to get
Degrees of separation,
you're going to
yeah.
get a year supply of free water, which is a whole pallet. You could design it and put whatever you want on it. We're going to ship it to your house or wherever you want it to go. So it's like it's a few $1,000 value. And we'll give them away to people when they go into this comedy club.
You think he'd love it? You think he'd love it?
Yeah, I hope so.
So look, I'm not saying I've got listeners
Yeah.
that know Joe Rogan, but hopefully,
if anybody introduces us to Joe out there, and I'm just asking for like a 5-minute, he lives down the street.
He does?
He's in Austin. So
Yeah, he
just meet him for 5 minutes, and just chat with them for 5 minutes, you're going to get a year's supply, which means a whole pallet. That's 70 24 packs. You design whatever you want, connect anything on the internet.
Well, don't you think he'd
and
like...
we send it to you anywhere in the lower 48 states.
There you go. And you know, that's out there now. But also, the money's going to charity, Joe. So the money's going to charity.
So that pallet,
he might like that.
1,680 bottles will radically transform.
Could he choose his charity?
No, because we've vetted charities.
Okay.
And on the charity, just because I was just in Kenya visiting some of the wells. So what a lot of people, you mentioned water wells earlier. A lot of studies show that 60% of all water wells drilled in these countries fail in the first 180 days, and the nonprofit doesn't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've really carefully vetted them. One of them in Austin, well aware, they have a lifetime guarantee. And I'm like, wow, this is phenomenal, right? They're in East Africa. So a lot of people will visit the well the day they drill it. And it's like a big party, people are happy, and that's what they show. But then they never come back, and then months later it's broken, and they just took it on their website, we saved the day. But they didn't.
Yeah.
So I purposely went to test Well Aware, and I went like a year and a half later. Still working perfectly.
That's great.
Now, before I actually witnessed, this was in Atat, Kenya, like super rural, people living in huts essentially of mud and maybe tires or whatever they could find.
Yeah.
I would have just given the advertiser, because when they ask about the impact, I'd give them a blanket statement like water is life and you're going to radically transform their lives. But in this particular village, I was told that the average person, 3,500 people there, average family, makes the equivalent of $10 a month for a family of 6 to 8. 10 a month. A lot of these people have only ever eaten corn. They buy it dry. They get the kernel, smash it, mix it with water, brown, yucky water, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so we brought them the water. $10 a month, like the level of poverty I had never, you can't fathom it. And before that, they were getting the water from a very, very, very polluted river with like bubbles, and you could see like there's a lot of chemicals in there.
Yeah.
And I was there in the wet season, so like this is when the river's clean, because when the dry, it's like mud.
Yeah.
And so I was always under the assumption, because I was told, oh, if you're going to drink water in the wild, you'll boil it. So I was like, I made the assumption these people boiled the water.
Yeah.
This water's not being boiled. So
It's
like
got color
all
and-
around Kenya, when we're driving around, there's just people pulling up water that looks like chocolate milk. It's super thick. It's stagnant. There's fly larvae in it. It's not going to get boiled. You put it in a 20-liter container, and then you walk it, let's say, hours to get home. And they need help. They don't just need water. They need sewage. They need solar panels. They need soap. I was thinking, like, what are we going to launch next to donate to help them?
Yeah.
They need soap, because some of these people can't even afford a tenth of a bar of soap.
Here we've also got, in Austin, we've got Icon, who are 3D printed houses. So I think
I love that company.
the sky is the limit for you, and I think you're doing good. So hopefully you're going to get these connections you want to, like Joe or whoever, to exponentially grow this company, man. And it's a real pleasure to meet you, and I'm glad we had a good chat.
If you want, I would love to do another show in a year, because things are exponentially changing.
Yeah, man, for
And
sure.
we could talk about the 24 packs we launched and the vending machines, and then one day, if you want, but it would take like an hour or two, you could talk about how you could do it with no ads.
Let's do it. I love it.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
man. Thanks for your time.